Well, let me recall. I think it comes to my mind very vividly. It was probably the 19th of July, 1943. I landed in Bombay by the then frontier mail at the Bombay Central from Lahore, which is now in Pakistan, after my graduation from Lahore Government College. And I was very young. I think I was 18 and a half years old. And I came with a positive mind to be in the movies. Because after my graduation, I applied for a commission in the Navy. Those were the war days. And I was rejected because my father had political leanings, my older brother had political leanings for the Congress. So the British government was not very keen to take me in. And I wanted an outlet for some expression that any individual would like to put it across for the world. So I thought either journalism or acting in the films would be the alternatives. So I came with the very idea to be in the movies, and it was in 43, and there was a big struggle, and not until the late 46 I could join the Prabhat. And until then, for 2 years in Bombay, the story of big struggle, making both ends meet, starvation level, going by trains, by trams, by buses, dreaming away of the future. And then for a short while, I did a little stint in the People's Theatre. Not very big roles, because I think those days Khwaja Ahmed Abbas and Balraj, Sahani and Chetan Anand, they were great. They were all in the theatre, and I could persuade them to make me a part of their setup. But then living was a big problem, because you can't live in Bombay without money. So I did some odd jobs, and I did a job in the military censors, which means I used to censor letters. And this was again for a year and a half, and I chucked it because I thought if I would hang on to it, then I'll probably degenerate into something and not get back to my desire of getting into some creative profession. But in 45, I think I did a little theatre, and somebody spotted me, and somebody suggested that there was a break waiting for a young boy for the lead in a Prabhat film called Hum Ek Hain. And then I remember Babura Pai was the big chief of the Prabhat studios, and I literally gate crashed into his office, and I insisted on an interview, which was granted. And I think he must have got struck with me, and he said, "Are you prepared to go to Pune tomorrow for an audition?" I said, "Certainly, yes." So I was given a ticket by the Deccan Queen, a first-class ticket, and I was sent to Pune. There was a van waiting for me, a studio van, which took me to the studios. I gave an audition, I came back, and after 7 days I was told that I was in. And that was a film on Hindu-Muslim unity, made in 46, released in 47 when the partition took place, the irony of it. And I think after that there was really no looking back, because I think I had no training of acting, because there were no academies or training schools those days. All that I've learned over the years is through trial and error. And I think people must have liked me, because then I kept on and on and on and on. And then the first big break came in Ziddi, which was a Bombay Talkies picture produced by Ashok Kumar. And very interesting, because I remember I was in college in Lahore, and Ashok Kumar and Leela Chitnis, they were big stars those days. And they had come to a premiere, to attend a premiere in Lahore for a film called Bandhan. And all the boys in the college, they said, we must go and have a look at Ashok Kumar and shake hands with him. But it was tough. We could not. And it so happened that I got a break in a film which was produced by Ashok Kumar, and I told him this story, and I was so happy. So that was in 47. Now 47, it was a film that again brought me into notice with the audiences, and that was a film that also brought Kishore Kumar on the scene as a singer, because Kishore Kumar, being the younger brother of Ashok Kumar, he was a young struggling boy in his pajamas and kurtas and very bright and naughty, and he had a very fine voice, and his brother thought probably he could do well as a singer. So his very first song I sang in that film, Siddhi. Then after Siddhi, my brother, he had come to Bombay from Doon School, that is Chetan Anand. He was teaching in Doon School, and he used to write, he used to produce his plays, and he was very keen on movies. And he had shifted to Bombay, and in 48, after the release of Siddhi, we formed a company called Navketan. And the first film of Navketan was Afsar, directed by Chetan, based on Gogol's Inspector General. And now in 46 and 47, when I made Hame Kain, a gentleman I met and made great friends with was Gurudutt. We became great pals, and we struck a deal, like two youngsters who want to do something big in life. He said, look, you are going to be a big star. If you ever become a big star and I want to direct a film, will you give me a break? I said, certainly yes. If ever I produce a picture, you be the director. But if I don't make it and you become a director first, then you make me a star. So it so happened that we made a film called Bazi, and I stuck to my commitment with Gurudutt. We brought him in, and Bazi was made. And Bazi was the first film that brought me into the notices of the audiences. It was a film based on a lovable tramp. It brought Gurudutt on the scene. It brought Balraj Sahani on the scene. And surprisingly, he was a script writer of the film, which very, very few people know. It brought S.T. Burman and Sahir Ludhianvi's combination as a lyric writer and as music director. And it brought Geeta Bali into the fore. And Geeta Bali and I formed a very fine team. Then my wife, Mona, we gave her the screen name as Kalpana Karthik. She was in the movie, and things started working. Then I don't think I ever looked back, because Navketan was formed, and Navketan could make pictures that we really wanted to make as people who were a little enlightened and educated and want to do something for ourselves and for the movie industry. Then Navketan since then has been making a lot of pictures, picture after picture after picture. Then Navketan again brought my younger brother Vijay Anand, who was then in St. Xavier's College. Now he grew in the traditions of the movie making family, and he became a writer, and he wrote a very, very, very big hit of those times called Taxi Driver, which nobody knows. Goldie, which means Goldie is Vijay Anand. Now he wrote Taxi Driver, and Taxi Driver was shot on a very shoestring budget, and that was in 1954. And Taxi Driver was made. During Taxi Driver, I married Mona, and Chetan and Dev, we both were the partners of Navketan. Goldie came in. Then after Taxi Driver became a hit, Chetan wanted to be on his own, very reasonably so, because I think all creative people, they want to differ on various aspects. They agree to disagree. So Chetan parted company, and he formed his own concern. Then I brought Goldie in as my partner, and until the guide was made, Goldie was one of the pillars of Navketan. And then Navketan brought in a lot of people as directors, as lyric writers, as music directors, as script writers, as actors, actresses. And we kept on looking for subjects. One film was different from the other. We never repeated ourselves. And that was the era when Bazi and House Number 44 and Fantoosh and Naudo Gyara and Kala Pani and Kala Bazaar, Tere Ghar Ke Samne, Hum Dono, until the time I met the late Pearl Buck. Then I was a big star those days. And Pearl Buck came to India looking for a subject to be made in collaboration with Indians for the American audiences. And somehow they had seen my films and they took a liking to me, and I was introduced to them. And we hit on. And Hum Dono was an entry at the Berlin Film Festival, and I met her director in Berlin, and then they lured me into going in for some collaboration deal. And they gave me a book to read, which I thought was not a very fine book in terms of the leading man. And I told them, I said, look, if I have to be in the American market, I don't want to be a lesser star in America than I'm here in this country. So I do not want to do a film which does not give the main male lead a role that I deserve at this stage of my career. And we kept looking for books, and suddenly somebody said, why don't you make the guide? So from Berlin I went to London, and London I went to a very famous bookshop called The Foils, and I asked for a copy of the guide. They gave me a copy of the guide and read the guide overnight, and I thought it was a great cinema because the main character was beautiful, and R.K. Narayan was a very famous writer. He was very well known in America. In fact, the book was written for the American audiences, American readers. Now, where do I get that Narayan? How do I get hold of him? So I telephoned to Bombay, and they gave me his address. He was living in Mysore. I called him from London. This is Dev Anand and Mr. Narayan. We haven't met, but I've read your books, and I admire your writing. Is it possible that I buy the rights of the guide and make a film in collaboration with Americans, both in English and in Hindi? And he was thrilled. He said, certainly yes, why not? So with that book, I telephoned to Prabhat. I said, if you are interested in a collaboration deal, then let me come to America. You organize not a ticket, but my arrangements in terms of my permissions to go to America those days. So she sent me a letter. We invite you to be in New York as our guest. And I flew to New York from London. We had meetings, 2 or 3 meetings at their residence, and they loved the guide as well. Then from New York I went to California, and from California again called Narayan, look, it's all being organized, all we need is a meeting, and I'll come back to Bombay. Can I come to Mysore? He said, certainly yes. He said, you come to Bangalore, I drive to Bangalore, and we'll strike the deal. I come back to India, I fly to Bangalore, he drives from Mysore to Bangalore, and within 15 minutes, guide was in our mind, and we struck the deal, and I sent them a cable, they sent the unit here, and guide was organized. Now, guide was a very debatable, very controversial subject, because by Indian standards, now what is a standard? Standard is something that the people form in their own minds, and because it was based on adultery. And since he had written it for the American audiences, we thought for the home market, we should change it. And R.K. Narayan gave all the permissions to change the script. Now, the first concept was to have 2 directors on the movie, for the English and for the Hindi, for 2 separate versions. But we certainly realized it doesn't work because there's a clash of egos amongst 2 people when they're working on the sets. So I gave the American unit a clean clearance. I said, you do the English version first, and then you go to America and start editing it, and we hang on to the Hindi version right from the scratch, the way we want it. So they did the English version, they went back to America, they started cutting it, and we started filming the Hindi version right from the scratch, changing all the nuances, all the so-called social play in the movie, the relationship, which we thought was a little revolting for the audiences. We had to justify it, and we emotionalized the climax. We gave it an angle which people in this country loved, and they're used to. So this, I've hopped right from the first to the last, and this is from 1945 to 1963. And in between, a lot of things happen. I became a star, and when you become a star and you reach a saturation point where you feel people are repeating you, you're singing the same songs, you're doing the same types of characters, and then since you are creative inside and you want to be different, then you start making your own pictures, and you start thinking to yourself. After Guide was made, I thought I should make my own pictures when I went to America. I met the best of people in terms of writers, directors, stars, motion picture makers, and I suddenly made up my mind the best way to function after a certain stage, when you've achieved the best in a certain market, is to make your own pictures, and that is to be your own director, conceive your own plots. If you are creative, not everybody can't do it. I mean, you have to have something inside here to be able to make a film, to be able to conceive a film. But the ultimate is to be a director for any creative person. So after the Guide, this desire was dawned upon me, and I chucked most of the pictures as an actor outside, and I only stuck to my home product. I started making my pictures, and I think that's great fun. It is tremendous. It's like living in a dream. It's like living in a total sense of completion. It's like floating in an atmosphere which is where you should belong, and that's what matters. Because after a certain stage, when you are popular, You made some films and the world knows you. What matters is your inner happiness of creativity, which can come to you only when you conceive your pictures, you make your pictures, and you give them to the world, for the world to decide whether they're good or bad. Even if they say they're bad, it makes no difference, because you made them and you're happy while making them. And it's not always that the world takes your pictures in a spirit that you think they should. But some section does take it. If a film is good, there is a percentage of people who say, yes, it was a very well-made picture, though it didn't run. And that means a lot. That keeps you going. That keeps me going. What keeps me going now is, I think it's a great feeling. I think I feel great at times, because I think something happens to me when I'm making a picture. Some idea strikes me. It could be from a book, a line from a book, from a newspaper, from a situation, from a character, which starts intriguing me, exciting me as a plot. I'll start developing it. And over a period of a few months, by the time I'm finishing one picture, it becomes about 70, 80 scenes of a movie. And then there comes a time when I feel very restless and I want to get away, close myself, isolate myself away from the world, put it down on a piece of paper, with the total excitement of making that picture, come to my unit, take them into confidence, ask them, do you like it? Okay, why do you like it? You don't like it? Why don't you like it? Pick the holes. They pick the holes, honestly, and I again assimilate. If I'm convinced they're right, I again go back and start changing. If I'm not convinced, I stick to my convictions, and once I feel in totality that the script is ready and I'm happy as a maker, as a master, I just start making it, and then I give it to the world, and I don't think of the results, because it's no use thinking of the results. If you start thinking of the results, then you start getting worried. If you start getting worried, you can't proceed further. That's the end of it all, because this is a very expensive game. It's a game which has to be played with total confidence and with a total sense of confidence and total sense of a belief in your own product. So if there is somebody who worries me and puts me on to a plane of double-mindedness, I don't like it, because I cannot make a film without conviction. I got to convince myself that whatever I'm doing is right, as an honest man, as an honest thinker, as an honest citizen, as a man who wants to make his type of pictures because somebody else is not making those types of pictures in the commercial genre. So that's that. And this is a long way again a long way, because I think you cannot survive as an actor for more than 15, 20 years as a leading man. As a leading man you can survive, because what is a leading man? A leading man is the central character of a script. He could be a man of 70 years. He could be a man of 85 years. He could be a young man of 21 years singing songs with a leading lady. But even a man of 70 can sing songs. Depends on what situation he sings them in. So if the medium is in your hands and you know how to play with it, because every time, if you're creative, you are improving all the time. You are in a stage of progress every time. And when you're progressing every time, and when your faculties are alive, there's no reason why you should not keep on making picture after picture after picture for your own sake and for the sake of the world. Because the whole point is to lead the world and not to be led. If you make a film which is different and people follow it, it's a tremendous triumph. Money becomes secondary. Or money is okay. You have money, you have a house, you have a car, you have a status. Beyond that, what is money meant for? Money is meant to be spent for better things, so that people remember you by. So that's my philosophy, in short.
Okay. Where did you come to Bombay from? Which was your hometown? What did the family do?
I come from a place which is very much in the news these days. It's a place called Gurdaspur. Now, Gurdaspur is a border town between India and Pakistan. That's where you read in the newspapers, cut.